The massive space station floated like a metal city among the stars. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its gleaming ports, bringing young beings from across the galaxy to learn at the most famous military academy in known space. The Galactic Federation had built this place to train the best and brightest from every corner of their vast empire. Tay walked off his transport ship with shaking legs. The artificial gravity felt wrong under his feet, lighter than Earth's pull. Around him, creatures he had only seen in textbooks moved with confidence through the busy corridors. A tall blue alien with 4 arms glided past, barely glancing at the small human. 2 insect-like beings clicked and buzzed each other in a language his translator couldn't handle. At 19 years old, Tay was one of only 3 humans ever accepted into the Galactic Naval Academy. The letter had arrived at his home in Seoul 6 months ago, written in perfect Korean by machines that had learned his language from old television broadcasts. His parents had cried with pride, though none of them really understood what it meant. "Cadet Lee," called a voice behind him. Tay turned to see a reptilian creature approaching, its scales shifting from green to bronze as it moved. "I am Instructor Vex. You will follow me." The creature stood nearly 3 meters tall, with arms like tree trunks and eyes that glowed yellow in the station's artificial light. Tay had to jog to keep up as they walked through endless corridors filled with other cadets. Most ignored him completely. A few pointed and whispered in languages his translator turned into fragments. "Small one. Soft skin. How did it get here?" The dormitory level buzzed with activity. Beings of every size and shape unpacked belongings and met their roommates for the first time. Tay's room was tiny, with 2 beds and a single window that looked out into deep space. His roommate was already there, a creature that looked like living crystal with gentle blue light, pulsing through its transparent body. "I am Daleth," the being said, its voice like musical notes. "I have never seen a human before. Your species is very new to the Federation, yes?" Tay nodded, setting his single bag on the empty bed. "We only made contact 5 years ago. I'm the first from my planet to come here." Daleth's light flickered with what might have been curiosity. "Your home world is called Earth? The reports say it is a water world with unusual weather patterns. How strange that thinking beings could evolve in such chaos." Before Tay could answer, a loud voice echoed through the dormitory halls. All first-year cadets report to Assembly Hall 7 immediately. The hall was enormous, filled with hundreds of young beings from across the galaxy. Tay found himself squeezed between a furry creature that smelled like flowers and something that looked like a walking tree. On the raised platform at the front, a figure in a flowing robe waited for silence. Commander Zierra was an Etherian, one of the galaxy's most ancient and respected species. Her people had mastered space travel before most worlds had developed fire. She stood 2.5 meters tall, with pale skin that seemed to glow from within and large black eyes that missed nothing. When she spoke, her voice reached every mind in the room without sound. "You are here because you represent the finest your species can offer," her telepathic voice announced. "Some of you come from warrior races that have conquered entire star systems. Others belong to civilizations that have unlocked the deepest secrets of science and mathematics. Each of you has earned your place through excellence." Her dark gaze swept across the assembled cadets, pausing briefly on several impressive specimens. The Crothery delegation stood like statues, their exoskeletons gleaming black under the lights. The Vordhack cadets displayed the ritual scars that marked them as elite hunters from birth. Near the back, a group of constructors hummed in perfect harmony, their mechanical bodies already interfaced with the station's computer systems. "The Federation spans 12,000 member worlds," Commander Zierra continued. "Our records catalog over 8,000 intelligent species, each contributing their unique strengths to our collective advancement. The strong protect the weak. The wise guide the foolish. The experienced teach the young." Again, her eyes found certain cadets in the crowd. Tay noticed she seemed to spend more time looking at the larger, more impressive beings. The commander's attention touched him for just a moment before moving on, and he felt her mild confusion like a brief headache. "Your training begins tomorrow," she concluded. "You will be tested in ways your homeworlds never prepared you for. Many of you will fail. Those who succeed will graduate as officers in the Federation Navy, sworn to protect trillions of lives across the galaxy. As the assembly dissolved into chattering groups, Tay overheard conversations in the universal trade language that his translator handled easily. "Did you see the human?" one voice asked. "How did something so small get accepted?" "Probably a political decision," another replied. "Their world has some rare minerals the Federation wants. This is just diplomacy." "I heard they can barely survive outside their natural atmosphere," a third voice added. "They need special suits just to visit normal worlds." Tay pretended not to hear as he followed the crowd back to the dormitories. Tomorrow would bring his first real tests at the academy. He had no idea that everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans was about to change forever. The academy's training schedule began before dawn every day. Tay woke to the sound of alarms echoing through the dormitory halls, followed by the thunder of hundreds of different feet rushing to morning exercises. His roommate Daleth moved like floating music, but even the graceful crystal being seemed tired in the early hours. "Physical conditioning begins in 10 minutes, announced the station's computer voice. All cadets report to your assigned gravity chambers." Tay had wondered about this part of training. Every species came from worlds with different gravity, different air, different everything. How could they all train together? The answer was simple, but expensive. The academy had built dozens of specialized chambers, each one adjusted for different types of beings. The Luminari cadets trained in chambers with gravity so light they seemed to dance through the air. The massive Crothri used chambers with crushing force that would flatten most other species instantly. The insect-like Zephyrians preferred chambers filled with thick, humid air that reminded them of their swamp homeworld. Cadet Lee called Instructor Vex, the same reptilian being who had met him at the docking bay. Chamber 12. Standard conditions. Tay followed a group of cadets he didn't recognize toward the training area. Chamber 12 turned out to be a large room filled with exercise equipment, obstacle courses, and monitoring devices. The other cadets looked familiar from yesterday's assembly, though he still didn't know their names or species. "Standard conditions," he heard one of them mutter. "Lucky humans. They get the easy chamber." The training began with basic strength tests. Tay watched his fellow cadets struggle through exercises that seemed designed to push them to their absolute limits. A blue-skinned alien with extra joints in his arms managed 3 pull-ups before collapsing. A creature covered in soft fur completed a short obstacle course, while breathing heavily through what might have been gills. When Tay's turn came, he expected to embarrass himself. The pull-up bar felt solid under his hands, and he lifted himself up once, twice, 3 times. The counting continued. 10, 15, 20. He only stopped because Instructor Vex told him to move on to the next exercise. "Interesting," the reptilian muttered, making notes on his electronic pad. The running test came next. A circular track wound around the chamber's outer wall, marked with distance measurements in Federation standard units. Most cadets managed 2 or 3 laps before their various breathing systems started to fail. Some needed breathing masks. Others activated cooling systems built into their uniforms. Tay started running at an easy pace, the kind he had used for morning jogs back home in Seoul. The track felt good under his feet, even though the artificial gravity was lighter than Earth's. Lap after lap passed without strain. Other cadets stopped to watch as he continued past their best distances with no sign of slowing down. "How is he doing that?" whispered Daleth to another cadet. "His species profile says humans have limited endurance." After 15 laps, Instructor Vex finally stopped him. "That will be sufficient, Cadet Lee." But the strangest moment came during atmospheric adaptation training. This exercise was supposed to teach cadets how to handle emergency situations where life support systems failed. The chamber's air mixture would be adjusted to simulate different emergency conditions: less oxygen, higher pressure, trace amounts of toxic gases that their suits should filter out. "This test will be uncomfortable," Instructor Vex announced to the group. "Your suits will protect you, but you may experience mild symptoms as we adjust atmospheric conditions. If you feel faint or sick, activate your emergency beacon immediately." The first test reduced oxygen levels to what the instructor called minimum survivability. Around the chamber, cadets began showing signs of distress within minutes. Some activated their emergency beacons. Others sat down to conserve energy while their suits worked harder to supply clean air. Tay felt nothing unusual. If anything, the air reminded him of hiking in the mountains back home, thin but perfectly breathable. He continued the assigned exercises, while others struggled just to stand. Check his suit. Instructor Vex ordered one of the chamber technicians. The readings must be wrong. The technician ran a full diagnostic on Tay's equipment. Sir, his suit is working normally. But according to these readings, he's not using emergency air supply at all. He's breathing the chamber atmosphere directly. Next came pressure changes. The chamber simulated conditions found on high-gravity worlds, where atmospheric pressure could crush unprepared visitors. Again, Tay felt only mild discomfort, like diving deep in a swimming pool. His fellow cadets activated heavy-duty pressure suits while he completed the obstacle course in his regular training uniform. Dr. Unikil, the Academy's chief medical officer, watched the training session from the observation room above. The elderly Zelvan woman had served at the Academy for over 40 years, overseeing the health and safety of cadets from hundreds of different species. She had never seen readings like the ones coming from the human cadet. "Bring me his complete medical file," she ordered her assistant, "and run a full-spectrum analysis on those atmospheric readings. Something doesn't match our database information about human physiology." That evening, Tay sat in the dormitory common area with Daleth and a few other cadets who had begun treating him with cautious respect. Word of his performance and training had spread quickly through the Academy's gossip networks. "Your species must be stronger than our records indicate," Daleth observed, his crystal body pulsing with thoughtful patterns. The Federation databases describe humans as fragile beings from a peaceful water world. Tay shrugged, unsure how to respond. He had never thought of himself as particularly strong or tough. Back on Earth, he had been average in every way. Average student, average athlete, average in all the ways that seemed to matter. But here, surrounded by beings from across the galaxy, average seemed to mean something completely different. 6 months had passed since Tay arrived at the Academy. His strained performance during training had become normal to everyone around him. Instructors stopped being surprised when he completed exercises that challenged other species. His fellow cadets had grown used to seeing him succeed where they struggled, but no one had found a real explanation for his abilities. Squadron Gamma received their first real mission on a cold Tuesday morning. Commander Zierra called them to the briefing room, where a holographic display showed star charts and emergency signals flashing red across the darkness of space. "A Federation merchant ship has crashed near the quarantine zone in System KX 739, she explained, her telepathic voice reaching each cadet's mind. "There are survivors, but they cannot be reached by normal rescue ships. The area is too dangerous for automated systems." The hologram zoomed in on a single planet, showing a world covered in dark clouds and flashing storms. Warning symbols covered the display in multiple languages. Tay's translator turned some of them into Korean words he had never expected to see together. "Lethal atmosphere, extreme gravity, forbidden to all personnel." "Your mission is simple," Commander Zierra continued. "Retrieve the survivors and return them safely. The rescue ship Dawn's Promise will carry you through hyperspace to the crash site. This is not a training exercise." Daletha's crystal body flickered with nervous energy as they prepared for departure. "I have read about the quarantine zone," he whispered to Tay while they checked their equipment. "Ships that go near that planet never return the same. Some never return at all." The Dawn's Promise was a small but powerful vessel designed for dangerous missions. Captain Rexon, a gruff Vorthack with ritual scars covering his arms, briefed them during the hyperspace journey. "KX 739 has been quarantined for over 200 years, he growled, his translated voice harsh and direct. "Every exploration team sent to the surface has died within hours. The planet's environment is so hostile that our computers classify it as impossible for life. But somehow, the merchant ship crew is still sending distress signals." Dr. Unikil had insisted on joining the mission, claiming she needed to study the planet's effects on different species. Tay noticed she kept glancing at him during the briefing, as if he were a puzzle she couldn't solve. Everything went wrong when they reached the target system. A cascade failure in the hyperspace engine threw them out of their planned route, dragging the ship toward the quarantine planet's gravity well. Captain Rexon fought the controls as the ship bucked and shuddered like a living thing trying to escape. "Emergency landing!" he shouted over the screaming alarms. "All hands, prepare for impact." The crash threw Tay against the wall hard enough to crack his helmet. When he woke up, emergency lights cast strange shadows through the twisted wreckage of their ship. 3 of his squad mates were injured, including Daleth, whose crystal body had developed dark cracks that leaked pale light. Status report. Came Dr. Kill's voice over the damaged communication system. "Everyone stay inside the ship. According to my readings, we're on the surface of KX 739. The atmosphere outside will kill any known species within minutes." Tay looked around at his fellow cadets. Daleth was barely conscious, his light growing dimmer by the hour. A Krathri cadet named Vortan struggled to breathe, even with his suit's emergency systems running. Even the tough Vorthack cadets seemed smaller under the planet's crushing gravity. "Life support is failing," reported the ship's computer in a calm voice that somehow made everything worse. "Hull breach in sections 4 through 7. Atmosphere contamination increasing." Through the cracked viewports, Tay could see a landscape that looked like something from nightmares. Jagged rocks stretched toward a sky filled with roiling clouds and constant lightning. The ground itself seemed to move, as if the planet were alive and angry. "I'll scout for a better position," Tay said, checking his damaged helmet. "Maybe higher ground will give us a better chance for rescue signals." "Absolutely not." Dr. Kill's voice was sharp with worry. "The atmospheric pressure alone would crush your chest. The gas mixture is toxic to every known form of life. Even with a perfect suit, you have minutes before dash." "My suit's already damaged," Tay interrupted, pointing to the crack across his helmet's faceplate. "If someone has to take the risk, it should be me." Before anyone could stop him, he cycled through the airlock and stepped onto the alien world. The moment his boots touched the rocky ground, something impossible happened. The crushing gravity that had been overwhelming his friends felt heavy but manageable, like carrying a full backpack during a long hike. The toxic air that leaked through his damaged helmet didn't burn his lungs or make him sick. Instead, it smelled familiar, like the air after a thunderstorm back home. Tay climbed the steep slope toward higher ground, moving with an ease that amazed him. Each step felt natural, comfortable, as if he had been born to walk on worlds like this. Behind him, through the ship's broken windows, he could see his squad mates watching in shock. Inside the wreckage, Dr. Kill stared at her scanner readings with growing disbelief. The atmospheric composition that should have killed the human cadet matched something in her medical database, something that made her heart race with a terrible understanding. The toxic, crushing environment of KX 739 was identical to the atmospheric readings from a single planet in her files, a planet called Earth. Dr. Una Kill's hands shook as she accessed the deepest files in the Federation medical database. Through the broken viewport, she watched Tay moving easily across terrain that should have killed him instantly. Her scanner showed readings that made no sense according to everything she knew about human biology. The atmospheric analysis was complete. Oxygen levels that would poison most species, nitrogen concentrations that created crushing pressure, trace gases that her equipment marked as highly toxic. But every single measurement matched the baseline readings for Earth's atmosphere that had been recorded during first contact 5 years ago. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself, pulling up more classified files. How did no one notice this before? The answer came in the form of restricted documents marked with warning labels she had never seen. Files about worlds so dangerous that the Federation had banned all research, except in the most extreme circumstances. Classifications that went beyond the normal danger scales used for hostile planets. Earth appeared in the database under a designation that made her multiple heart skip. Class XI Deathworld. The highest possible rating for planetary lethality. According to the scientific models, complex life should not exist on Class XI worlds. The combination of crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme weather, and constant natural disasters created conditions where even the hardiest microorganisms struggled to survive. Yet somehow, Earth had not only produced life, but had evolved an entire intelligent species. Dr. Kill activated her emergency communicator, sending an encrypted message directly to Federation Command. Within hours, the reply came back with orders that surprised even her. Maintain absolute secrecy. Continue observations. Report directly to High Command only. Meanwhile, rescue ships had arrived to extract the survivors from KX 739. Tay had successfully guided the rescue teams to safety, moving through the hostile environment as easily as walking through a park. The other cadets watched in amazement as he carried injured squad mates across terrain that required the rescue teams to use heavy protective equipment. Back at the academy, word of the mission began to spread through unofficial channels. Cadets from Squadron Gamma told stories about the human who had survived on a quarantined world. Instructors shared reports about impossible atmospheric readings. Dr. Kill's research request triggered automated alerts in databases across Federation space. Commander Zierra called an emergency meeting of the Academy's senior staff. In the secure conference room, she projected the official mission reports alongside Dr. Kill's medical findings. Explain to me how a cadet from a newly contacted species survived conditions that killed every exploration team ever sent to that planet, she said, her telepathic voice carrying undertones of confusion and concern. Dr. Kill stood to address the group. The answer lies in our fundamental misunderstanding of human physiology. We classified Earth as a peaceful water world based on limited observations during first contact. But deeper analysis reveals that Earth is actually one of the most hostile environments ever discovered. The room fell silent as she continued. Humans evolved under conditions that we consider lethal. Their normal atmospheric pressure would crush most Federation species. Their gravity levels require constant physical effort that builds incredible strength. Their weather patterns involve temperature extremes and violent storms that make most worlds seem like peaceful gardens. Captain Rexon, who had commanded the rescue mission, spoke up from his seat. Are you saying that humans are naturally adapted to survive in conditions that kill everyone else? More than that, Dr. Kill replied. They're adapted to thrive in those conditions. What we've been calling their limitations are actually restraints. In the controlled environment of Federation space, with its standardized gravity and filtered atmospheres, humans have been unconsciously holding back their natural abilities. The implications hit the room like a wave. If humans could survive on quarantined worlds, they could explore regions of space that have been forbidden for centuries. They could work in environments that required expensive protective equipment for other species. They could serve as emergency responders in disasters that killed normal rescue teams. But the revelation also raised darker questions. If humans were naturally adapted to survive in deadly conditions, what did that say about their potential as warriors, as competitors for resources, as threats to species that had grown comfortable in the safety of civilized space? Within days, the story had leaked beyond the Academy's walls. Unofficial reports spread through Federation communication networks, growing and changing with each retelling. Some versions described humans as unstoppable warriors from a world of constant battle. Others painted them as dangerous survivors who had hidden their true nature during first contact negotiations. On Earth, the human government received panic messages from Federation officials demanding explanations. How had they failed to mention that their planet was classified as uninhabitable? Why had they sent representatives who could survive in conditions that killed other species? The truth was simple but embarrassing. Earth's government had never been given access to the Federation's planetary classification systems. They had no idea their world was considered exceptional in any way. To them, Earth was just home, with all its normal weather and ordinary gravity and everyday air that everyone breathed without thinking. Tay found himself at the center of attention he had never wanted. Fellow cadets approached him with new respect mixed with fear. Instructors tested him with challenges designed for much larger and stronger species. Medical staff requested countless scans and examinations to understand how his body worked. I don't feel different, he told Dr. Kill during one of their sessions. I'm just doing what feels natural. That's exactly the point, she replied, reviewing his latest test results. What feels natural to you would be impossible for most of the galaxy's population. Your species has been shaped by a world that never stopped trying to kill you. The Federation faced a choice that would reshape their understanding of the galaxy itself. They could treat humans as a dangerous anomaly to be contained, or they could embrace them as the ultimate survivors in a universe full of hostile worlds. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation Council lasted for 3 days. Representatives from thousands of worlds gathered in the Great Chamber on Central Station, their voices creating a symphony of concern, fear, and fascination. At the center of the debate was a single question that would reshape the galaxy's future: what to do about humanity. "The evidence is clear," announced Counselor Thexmira, her blue skin shifting darker with stress. "Humans are biologically adapted to survive conditions that kill our finest soldiers. This changes everything we thought we knew about planetary classification and species capabilities." Some councils demanded immediate quarantine. The Crothery delegation, proud warriors who had never met their match in battle, insisted that Earth should be isolated until the Federation could understand the full extent of human abilities. "We cannot allow a species of unknown potential to move freely through our space," growled their representative. "What if they decide we are enemies?" Others saw opportunity where their colleagues saw danger. The constructors, master builders who had engineered marvels across the galaxy, presented detailed proposals for human integration. Their abilities could revolutionize exploration and construction. Their spokesman calculated in precise mechanical tones. Worlds we have abandoned as uninhabitable could become valuable assets. At the Academy, Tay tried to continue his normal studies while the galaxy debated his species' fate. But normal had become impossible. Every class now included discussions about human physiology. Every training exercise was adjusted to test the limits of what Earthborn beings could accomplish. Fellow cadets treated him like a fascinating specimen rather than friend. "I never asked for any of this," he told Daleth one evening as they sat in their dormitory room. His roommate's crystal body pulsed with sympathetic light patterns. "None of us choose the gift we are born with," Daleth replied gently. "But we must decide how to use them. Your people have abilities that can help the galaxy explore new frontiers safely. That seems like a worthy purpose." Dr. Kill had been working around the clock, analyzing data from Tay's performance and comparing it with newly declassified information about Earth's environment. Her reports painted a picture of a world so hostile that survival itself was an act of incredible resilience. "Imagine growing up where the weather can kill you without warning," she explained to a gathering of Federation scientists. "Where the ground shakes regularly from geological activity. Where the atmosphere contains enough oxygen to support combustion at dangerous levels. Where gravity pulls at you constantly, building strength in every muscle just to stand upright. Then add predators," she continued. "Earth's biological records show creatures that hunt in coordinated packs, others with venom that attacks nervous systems, and some large enough to crush most Federation species with physical strength alone. Humans evolved not just to survive this environment, but to become its apex predators." The revelation led to a flood of new research requests. Xenobiologists wanted to study human adaptation mechanisms. Military strategists sought to understand combat applications. Engineers dreamed of using human workers in conditions that require expensive robots and protective equipment. But the most significant change came in Federation exploration policy. For the first time in centuries, previously quarantined worlds were being reconsidered for research missions. Planets that had been written off as too dangerous for any form of life suddenly became potential assets, if humans could survive on their surfaces. Tay received his new assignment on a sunny morning that felt nothing like the momentous occasion it represented. Commander Zierra called him to her office, where a holographic display showed star charts marked with symbols he had never seen before. "The Federation Council has reached a decision," she announced, her telepathic voice carrying undertones of respect that had never been there before. "Humans will be integrated into Federation operations with full recognition of your unique capabilities. But with recognition comes responsibility." She gestured to the star charts, where red symbols marked dozens of planetary systems. "These are worlds we have abandoned over the centuries. Too hostile for normal exploration, too dangerous for standard colonization. The Council wants to know if humans can succeed where others have failed." "You're asking me to explore Deathworlds," Tay said, understanding the magnitude of what she was proposing. "We're asking you to help the galaxy understand what is possible," she corrected. "You will not go alone. Multi-species teams will accompany you, using your abilities to access environments that have been forbidden for generations. You'll be teachers as much as explorers. The first mixed species expedition launched 6 months later. Tay stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel New Horizons, watching a planet grow larger through the viewports. This world had been quarantined for 400 years after its crushing gravity and toxic storms had killed 3 separate research teams. His crew included specialists from a dozen different species, each bringing unique skills to complement his environmental resilience. Daleth served as a missions communications officer, his crystal body perfect for handling the ship's complex sensor arrays. Dr. Kill led the scientific team, eager to document human performance in truly hostile conditions. Preliminary scans confirmed surface conditions match historical records, reported the ship's computer. Atmospheric pressure, lethal to most known species. Gravity, 3 times Federation standard. Weather systems, extreme and unpredictable. Tay checked his equipment one final time before heading to the shuttle bay. Unlike his teammates, who wore heavy protective suits designed for the harshest environments, he needed only basic gear and a reliable air recycler. Through the shuttle's windows, he could see the planet's surface approaching, covered in storms that would have terrified him a year ago. Now, they just looked like weather. The galaxy was about to discover what humans had always known. Home was where you learned to survive, and survival made you stronger than you ever imagined possible.